Hello everyone and welcome to another random video on the internet. Today we shall be discussing a matchup between the two undeniably strongest human characters in all of Hunter x Hunter. A battle of talent and hard work. The child prodigy who gave away everything to gain all the power he would ever have, Gon Freecss, versus the over 100-year-old chairman of the Hunter Association who dedicated his life to martial arts and pushed his body past its limits in brutal training, Isaac Netero. Needless to say, this is one of the grandest battles that could occur in the world of Hunter x Hunter. Many people would say it's a complete mismatch. After all, Meruem destroyed Netero and Gon was directly compared to Meruem. But honestly, I think it goes deeper than that, and I think it depends on some things. So let's go over why Netero might have more of a chance than you would think in this fight. First of all, let's establish the obvious. Gon is definitely way more durable and way stronger than Netero is. That much is obvious. We can directly compare their strength via their interactions with Pitou. One of Netero's attacks hit Pitou head-on and didn't really do any visible damage, whereas Gon... yeah, I think there's a clear gap in strength here. As for durability, we know that Gon's strength is widely considered to be in the same league as Meruem's, and we saw how Meruem could tear Netero apart, so Netero is undoubtedly getting killed if Gon touches him. I know there's a whole debate about what Pitou actually said about Gon and how she compared, how she compared Gon to Meruem, and you also have to wonder how much Pitou knows about Meruem's strength too, to make that comparison. But that's a topic for a different video, and for now, I'll just say that for Gon to be a threat to the king in Pitou's eyes, he would have to at least be able to damage Meruem with his blows. I think we all agree on that if we assume that Pitou knows approximately how durable Meruem should be. So Gon's punches should scale to Meruem's durability, and we know for a fact that the king is way more durable than Netero is, so if Gon touches Netero, he's going to die for sure. For Gon's durability, we can use Newton's third law and say that Gon has to be able to withstand the force that he's able to put out, so his durability should be in the same tier as his attack potency, which would put him on, or at least near, the same level of durability as Meruem. The odds are definitely stacked against the old man on this one, so then why do I think that this matchup is debatable at all? Well, it's because none of what I said is a deciding factor when determining the victor here. Sure, they're important, but they're not the be-all and end-all. Because what this battle comes down to is not strength or durability, it's speed. But before we go over the speed of these characters, let's establish why it's so important. Let's just assume for a moment that Gon's speed is the same as Meruem's. Meruem only won against Netero because of his ridiculous intellect. Meruem has near future sight-like prediction. He was able to discern the slightest biases in Netero's attacks, and from those biases predict how and where he needed to attack from in order to reach Netero. Even Zeno, a character who has some of the highest intelligence feats in the series, is able to read Chrollo's intentions, fighting style, and abilities in combat, and is one of the most experienced hunters around, thinks that nobody can read Netero's moves from his aura. Meruem just has godlike intelligence and intuition. If it wasn't for that, he would not have reached Netero. He had to compress his perception just to see Netero's movements, and he certainly was not fast enough to outspeed or evade the Guanyan's hands. Meruem was starting to feel a dull ache, and Netero wasn't showing any signs of slowing down. So in theory, if Gon's speed and durability is the same as Meruem's, he is not touching Netero. Gon is incomprehensibly less intelligent than Meruem, and he could not do anything to get past his opponent's guard. Even if he tries to charge a Junken to maybe blow away the hands, Netero is not just going to stand there and let it happen. Gon would be knocked off of his feet, and the aura in his hand would disperse. Gon would eventually be worn down and possibly even run out of his transformation. We don't know how long he can stay as an adult. The only way Gon is winning that fight is if Netero tires out before Gon, which we do not know if he would or not. It's going to be a battle of endurance, and we do not know the limits of either combatant in that department, so it's kind of up in the air. However, I will say that Netero did sit in one spot and charge his aura for 10 days straight. And remember how Gon and Killua had to train to maintain their aura for just a few dozen minutes in the early Chimera Ant arc? Netero being able to flex his aura for 10 days straight is a pretty incredible endurance feat. Now let's actually examine how fast Gon and Netero are in relation to each other. In order to do that, we must first explain what spirit echoes are. Spirit echoes are something that occurs when truly powerful warriors clash, and it's a phenomenon that almost seems to slow down time for people, allowing them to perceive things that they normally could not. It's compared to how people see their life flash before their eyes at the moment of death, sort of a lifetime of events in a single moment, so to speak. For this video, just know that these things pretty much amp a person's perception speed by an enormous margin. However, it does not increase a person's movement speed. Just their ability to see, the perception, how much they're able to see, and how fast they can perceive and process the things around them. When Netero first attacks Pitou, she has to infinitely compress her perception to see his movements, to the point that the narrator says her internal sensation of time has stopped. The narrator doubles down on this by saying Netero's attack was completely unavoidable. Now, this obviously doesn't mean that Netero is moving in stop time or anything, but it does mean that his speed is massively above Pitou's. And it's explicitly stated that Pitou has already activated Terpsichore at this point, meaning this is Pitou at her maximum strength and speed. Later on, the same thing happens with Meruem. The king can only perceive Netero's movements by compressing his time. In fact, it's stated that he could barely follow Netero's afterimage. There's not a single instance in the fight when Meruem does not get blitzed by the Guanyian's hands, aside from when he figures out its patterns and attacks in angles and ways that literally cannot be blocked by Netero. Meruem goes as far as to call Netero's attacks flawless. However, he also calls Netero's defense imperfect, and it is shown and also stated that if Netero slips up and misses a hand, in the time that it takes for that hand to stop and for Netero to unleash a new hand, Meruem does have enough speed to get to him. So I would say that Netero's hand activation and movement speed is far superior to Meruem's movement speed, but the time it takes for an already initiated hand to vanish so that Netero can activate a new hand is the flaw in Netero's defense that allows Meruem to tag him. Moving over to Gon, his showings are a bit less concrete, and how fast he is compared to Netero is mostly up for interpretation, honestly. Gon is able to completely speed blitz Pitou with Terpsichore active at full power. Pitou cannot see his movements at all, and in the same time it takes for her to notice that Gon is gone, he has already left the room they were in entirely. And he does this twice. Pitou is also completely unable to react to Gon's attacks. So now a question emerges. Is the gap in speed between Pitou and Gon wider than the gap in speed between Pitou and Netero? On the one hand, Pitou had to compress her perception of time infinitely to the point that her sense of time was completely stopped to perceive Netero's attack. On the other hand, she couldn't react to or perceive Gon's movements at all. So did she just not experience spirit echoes against Gon? Was Gon not considered a truly powerful warrior? It's quite unlikely. Or were Gon and Pitou so far apart in speed that spirit echoes couldn't even occur? Or was the gap in speed perhaps not enough to warrant spirit echoes occurring? That's where the subjectiveness of this speed topic comes in. It's really hard to say, and it could be argued either way. Seriously, I could sit here for 30 minutes listing off arguments for and against both Gon and Netero. Spirit echoes aren't entirely explained in the series, and they're pretty vague, so it's kind of hard to tell what was truly the intent here. In the end, I think it's mostly up to your interpretation of Gon's speed compared to Pito's. But just know that if you think Gon is truly faster than Netero, that would also make him way faster than the king himself, at least before the Rose Bomb. One last little note I'd like to make before moving on to conclusions is that Pito does call Gon a threat to the king, but Netero is also recognized as powerful and threatening to the king by Pito and the narrator, albeit to a lesser extent than Gon, seeing as Pito worries about Gon a lot more. So overall, there are two ways to look at this fight. Either Gon is simply not fast enough to tag Netero and it becomes a battle of endurance, which is kind of up in the air, but Netero likely should win due to higher stamina feats and a lack of showings when it comes to Gon's stamina, or Gon speed blitzes and one-shots Netero. Personally, I would like to think that Netero wins this one with high to extreme difficulty, but that's probably just because of my own bias for him, I will admit that. That's why I'm saying it's up for interpretation. It's really up to you how you think the speed feats they have compare. But that's going to be it for the day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you think about the matchup in the comments below, how close is it, and what other Hunter x Hunter topics should I cover. It's a series I love deeply, my second favorite anime in fact, so I would love to do more videos on it. With all that being said, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See you next time. Goodbye.